So don't be fooled by what you see on social media. Okay, you might see nurses splurging with their fancy cars, expensive houses, multiple vacations, right? Sipping on that pina colada. But let me tell you, is that what nursing really is about? Now, in this video, I'm gonna get into the things that I wish I knew before I became a nurse. And for all who are new to my page, it's your favorite NP mentor here. Welcome. I just want to give you a little background. I have my DNP, dual certified in acute care and adult gerontology, primary care nurse practitioner. Enough about me. Let's get into this video. All right, so first, let's start off with what is the average salary for a new graduate nurse out of school? So I looked it up. I did my due diligence. So on salary.com, it says that the average salary for a brand new fresh grad out of school is about 71 grand. Average. Now you could make at minimal 64 grand and at max as a new grad around 80 annually. Now, the question is, you come out of nursing school, you think you're gonna be able to splurge making 71 grand a year? Probably not. So most of these nurses that are making top dollars are they're working agency, they're traveling, they are working a bunch of overtime, okay? So don't think that when you come out of nursing school that automatically you're gonna be making all this money, because you're not. So I just want to put that out there and clarify that nice little myth that people have in their head about what nurses truly make. The other thing is, as a new grad, you may have to rotate days and nights initially for your first job. Now I'm gonna tell you, night shift is a beast, okay? It is not for everybody. I work night shift. I've been working night shift for about 7 years, and it's a tough transition. Now, I've also transitioned into days and nights also, and that is 100% for me worse than just working night shift. Let me tell you why. Because your body has to adjust to working against normal hours. You work in night shift, nobody's up at 2 a.m. working, right? Your body is meant to sleep at night. So now you decide that you want to go switch back to day shift, and now your body has to adjust again, right? So the days and nights on a consistent basis can be very, very taxing on your body. I just want to say that. And if you do decide that you want to take a position as a night shift nurse, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. One, I'm going to say it again, night shift is not for everybody. Being up and being able to function at night is a must. You can't be tired, you can't be groggy and drowsy, because remember, you're still gonna be responsible for taking care of these patients. So you gotta make sure that you 100% there. Now, I'm not saying if you work night shift, you don't get sleepy, sometimes you're a little bit tired, but it cannot impair your ability to focus, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing is, it's hard to adjust to sleeping during the day, okay? Now, when you are a day shift person, it may not bother you that someone's outside mowing the lawn or cutting the weeds. But when you get off of work and those things are happening, it's kind of hard to go to sleep when you have a loud ass lawnmower going off, or someone decides that they want to cut their weeds, someone's working on the roof next door. You know, these are all things that can impair your ability to sleep. Let me also mention, if you have children, now, they might be crying, screaming, fighting. All those things may come into play, okay? And that might disrupt your sleep. Now, if you're not able to sleep during the day, then you're gonna have a tough time when it's time to go back to work at night when you haven't gotten a good sleep during the day. So I would suggest that you invest in some blackout blinds. I would suggest that you invest in getting white noise, anything that will help to distract that outside noise that'll help you to sleep, because If you're not sleeping, you will not be focused, and it will be very difficult for you to A, stay up, and B, to be on point at night, avoiding medication errors because you're so tired. So I will say that the shifts are usually 12 hours. Now, depending on where you work, if you're in an inpatient hospital setting, usually 12-hour shifts are the way to go. Very rarely you'll find 7 to 3, 3 to 11. And the positions where those shifts are usually offered are usually like the CCT sometimes have that schedule. People that are unit clerks, but like nurses in general, it's usually 12 hours. 7A, 7P, 7P, or 7A. And there are some units where it's 6A, 6P, vice versa. The thing I wanted to talk about too is when you work day shift, remember, you got to get to work for 7 a.m. Now, it's not much you can do before work. Everything's really closed. And then when you get off, hopefully you get off at 7:30. A lot of times, depending on the day you had, you might not get out till 8, maybe 8:30. You get home, everything's closed. Difficult for you to do things when you get off of work because you work 12 hours, right? And by the time you get off, things are closed. So that's something to keep in mind, right? And when you work night shift, on the other hand, like let's say I am working a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I go in Wednesday night. I personally do not sleep before I go to work. Now, there's lots of people who are able to take naps, but I cannot physically do it. A, because I have 10,000 things to do, and B, because I just cannot sleep. I'm not tired, right? So for me, I'm up for a long time because I work the whole night shift and I don't sleep until the next morning. That's just the way my body functions. Now, if you're able to, you should take a nap before you get to work. This way you are rested and you have some level of sleep before you start a 12-hour shift. Now, you may be able to get some things done before work, but then again, you don't want to exhaust yourself because then by the time you get to work, you'll be tired, right? So you do have some leeway. For me, it works because I'm able to get my kids ready for school. And then also when they get out of school, I'm able to pick them up and I can help them with their homework. I can do all those things. And it's very difficult to do that, or near impossible, when you work day shift. So there's some good things and bad things about working day shift and then working night shift. Another thing is during the day, there's lots of micromanagement. You have all these managers, supervisors, you have JACO. Oh my God, I don't miss those days. You have to deal with family members also. Some family members are easier to deal with than others, so that can be challenging. And you have a lot more going on during the day. And at nighttime, by the time I get in at 7 p.m., the family members are leaving, there's no management. So that's one of the perks about working nights versus working during the day. And one other important thing I need to mention is that if you pick up a night shift job, you really need to take into consideration how far this job is from your home. There's a couple things. One, if you live, let's say, an hour away, remember, you work in night shift, you're tired and you have to drive a whole hour home. That's a long time. You don't think about those things when you take the position, but remember, the last thing you want to do is fall asleep while you're driving. Now, unfortunately, I've been so tired, I've done that, right? And I only live 15 minutes away from the hospital. And the problem is you don't realize that your eyes are closed until you open them. That's scary. So you don't want to be drinking coffee most times, because then if you drink coffee, which I don't even drink anyway, but if you drink coffee on your way home, then what ends up happening is you can't sleep when you get home. So there's that no win-win situation. So I would suggest that if you are definitely taking on a position as a night shift new grad RN, that you do not work nights and live at a whole hour away. That's really rough to be driving, especially if you're going with traffic. If you're going against traffic and you don't have much traffic, it's just a straight drive, you'll get there. But it's worse when you have traffic, because now you're just sitting there in traffic, tired. Okay, just keep all these things in mind when you take a night shift position. And I wish somebody would have said this to me before. The other thing when you work inpatient is that you have to work weekends and holidays, right? So they want 4 weekend days a month. So for my hospital, Day shift weekend is a Saturday, Sunday. Night shift is a Friday, Saturday. Sunday is not considered a weekend for night shift where I work, but it all depends on your facility. Now, and that's the weekend you have to work, you can pretty much say you're not going to be able to go. Okay, unless you're working at Saturday and you work night shift, you might be able to go in the morning, but if you work day shift, it's a wrap. Okay, so keep that in mind. Holidays. Now, when I worked as a bedside nurse, it was impossible for me to get a goddamn Christmas off, okay? Because the hospital where I worked was unionized and all the senior nurses were getting off, and I had to work every Thanksgiving and every Christmas for 7 years. Now, it depends on where you work, whatever hospital you decide to work in. It's always nice to know, how do they rotate the holidays? Does it go by seniority? Or which I think it should just go by turn. So if I worked Christmas last year, I should be off next year regardless of where I am on the ladder. Now, there's going to be lots of people to disagree with this, especially those that say, well, I've been a nurse for X amount of years and I paid my dues. Just because something was done for a long period of time doesn't make it right, okay? And I have family just like everybody else has family, and to work every single holiday is absolutely insane. Now, you need to also look into that. Like, how are the holidays divided? Like, do I gotta work based off of where nobody else wants to work? Or is it that basically we rotate in? Because that's important. You need to know like what you're getting into. And the other thing is, how far do you live from the hospital? Why is this important? Because if there's a blizzard, let me tell you, the hospital don't care that it's 10,000 feet of snow outside. They expect you at work, okay? So let me tell you how this works. Let's say there's a blizzard on a Wednesday. Forecast is saying, it's a Monday. Forecast is saying, oh, there's gonna be 8 feet of snow, heavy winds, blah, blah, blah. You're scheduled to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? They're gonna say to you, well, all those people that are scheduled to work on Wednesday need to come to the hospital on Tuesday night before it snows. We will have a place for you to sleep so that you can make it to your shift on Wednesday. And if you call out, you will not be paid. And let me tell you, they give you grief about calling out, okay? And people that don't work in the healthcare field don't understand this, but they give you grief, okay? It is not easy to call out. So you will have to pack a little bag, go to work on Tuesday so that you can be available to work on Wednesday. And there is absolutely no calling out. So that's the other thing. Blizzards, the hospital's open 24/7. You cannot say, oh, I'm just gonna call out today because the snow is bad outside. They don't care. Make arrangements, get there early, be there, period. And the other thing is understaffed. Most hospitals are understaffed, so you need to know what your patient ratios are. Are you 6-to-1, 8-to-1? Is there a union? Is there not a union? Because all of those things make a difference in how many patients are to one nurse. So you need to know that. And most hospitals are understaffed, and that's just like a universal problem. And then you would have to do a lot of things that you may not like, okay? You have bedpans, suctioning people with trachs. You know, there's a lot of things that you may not necessarily like to do, but you're gonna have to do it with a smile, okay? You can't go in there frowning, rolling your eyes. It's already embarrassing for the patient, right? That they can't move, or they've wet themselves, or, you know, they're full of stool. People who were once continent, now remember that. And then you come in with a frown on your face, or angry or annoyed, like, you better do it with a smile, because that's the way it's supposed to be done. You don't want anybody to feel bad about them not being able to help themselves, because that is what you signed up for. I just want you to know that also. Pros, enough about the cons. Let's talk about the pros. So, pros, you could work 3 days a week and you got 4 days off, okay? If you're working inpatient, you're not working in a doctor's office, you got 4 shifts off. So after you've gained your experience, it's like, okay, well, I want to be per diem and I want to work another job. You can, right? Because if you're working 5 days a week and you pick up another job, that's 6 days a week. That could be a bit much. But if you work in 3 days a week and you could work another job, you could work 4 days or 5 days and still have 2 days off, but it's all gonna be 12 hours. So you could pick up a nice little per diem gig because you work in more hours in a day, so that gives you more time during the week. So that is definitely a plus. And the other thing is, usually depending on where you work, your schedule is usually pretty much flexible. So you could adjust your schedule as you feel the need to. You put your days in and they try to give everybody what they want, but they'll say, hey, we got too many people on Tuesday. Do you mind coming off on Tuesday, work Wednesday? And they try to work it out amongst themselves versus just giving it to the manager and the manager just gives you a schedule, because that absolutely positively will not work. No one can just do my schedule. Otherwise, I just cannot be a nurse. And lastly, the job is just rewarding, right? Like, it feels good to help people. At least for me, it feels good to help people who cannot help themselves. And you have to have empathy. You have to have compassion. You have to love what you do in this profession. This is not something where you just throw on a uniform, look cute, and prance around at work and take pictures like, oh, I'm cute. No, like you can be cute, but you gotta like what you do. This is not the profession for people to just be coming in because they see people on social media flexing and they feel like that's what nursing is. Yes, you have some nurses who make a lot of money or who make more than the average nurse doing travel and agency and things like that. But get into nursing for the right reason. Get into nursing because you truly care about nurturing the sick. So I just want to be clear about that. Yeah, you can nurture the sick and make money, but don't let it always be about money. Let it be about passion. Like you enjoy what you do. You enjoy making people feel good. You enjoy making patients feel better. And if that's not why you're getting into nursing, then don't get into nursing. I want to be very clear about that. Don't get into it. We don't need anybody in nursing who don't want to be there. And that's my spiel. I hope you enjoyed this video. So please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. I appreciate that. All right. Bye.